what, with different areas that we can hold discussion on?
Yeah, sorry, usually at the end of an appeal, there's kind of a bigger, broader discussion of all the policy things. So that could involve our appeal process, or that could involve kind of the policies that the Bureau's under and kind of our opinions of those. So I was simply saying, as part of that discussion, points have been brought up in previous appeals that I think are relevant to this, which is that our standard review is something that is taken into account. So that was my only point. I don't have, I think it's late. I think the point is people are kind of struggling in that, and maybe that this discussion isn't worth having right now, but it is a moment where we could possibly, look at that and have that discussion here.
I wouldn't want to belabor the point tonight,
Yes.
but I do think that the policy review group, which is why we did these subcommittees, and the subcommittees, once they get active and involved, we really should work on it. I mean, that is something that we talk about, but every time we're here, we're facing the same dilemma, and then it's brought back up. That's not effective. I don't think we should belabor the point tonight, but that should be something that we are truly working towards.
Okay, conclusion of the appeal. We will have one more opportunity for public comment.
I just had just a clarification question about the comments here. So are you essentially talking about reasonable person standard versus preponderance of evidence, and how those two standards might impact how you discuss and vote? I mean, is that what you're talking about here?
So there's just been a conversation for committee members who've been kind of on the committee before. There was a period of time when the committee had the vote of which we operated under our current standard of review, and then there was a recognition of what it would be if it was a preponderance of the evidence. So yes, that's what I was talking about. And so a few people have kind of brought up wanting to highlight those juxtapositions and the impact of that on our appeal.
And it is something that's being considered in one of the work groups.
Yes.
I just know a couple, maybe 2-3 years ago, this was done with the reasonable person standard. And then the chair said, well, just let's try it now. That the meeting's all over. And let's do the vote again as preponderance of evidence. And the vote was substantially different. Substantially. Which was kind of surprising to me. He was sitting in the peanut gallery. The vote was really different.
Right. Well, given the hour and the need to do more public comment, I'm not going to have that happen today. But thank you for your service.
Before public comment are dismissed. Point of order!
Public comment, thank you.
Point of order!
Yeah.
They're being dismissed before public comment.
Police who were compelled to attend. Police who were compelled to
So you really were not being truthful when you said we got to speak.
They're gross anyways. If they want to leave and they're not interested in the public, they just showed that.
Okay, so how many people have public comment? So 6? Should we go with a minute and a half again? Go for it.
Okay, first of all, my opinion is this was really wrong. Okay, the fact of it is, as the lieutenant said, that the last tase, the guy was in cuffs. Okay, no one should be tased in cuffs, and there's no mention at all before about the last tase. It was only a second or something, but it's still painful. It's still something that should have been considered. And I feel that, even if the dude was kicking the officer, if he's in cuffs, there's no reason to tase him. And to me, I'm just baffled that they came up with this recommendation, because he was tased when he was down on the ground. And like the lieutenant said, he was in cuffs. And that was an accidental discharge. If that was an accidental gunshot and it killed someone, would the committee sit there and say, well, hey, we're gonna say the officer was justified because it was an accidental shooting? If I go out and I accidentally shoot someone, it's murder. If I accidentally tase someone, it's assault. But an officer is justified, you know, just because he goes, well, I didn't know the taser went off. You know, to me, I feel that there was no thought of the last taser.
Thank you. Next.
As a committee, you are complicit in the application of torture on a daily basis on the streets of our community. As a committee, you are enabling the constantly increasing militarization of this community's police. What you are watching is the complete disjunction between the police and the community. And because you believe this nonsense of a standard of review, you are going to keep voting to say that it's rational to keep tasering a bicyclist who has had his bicycle hit by a car. You're going to say it's rational to put all the Jews in a camp for their own protection. You're going to say it's rational to go ahead with a final solution.
Next.
Yeah, I remember early in the game here, you said you wanted the comments to apply just to this specific incident. And now we come to the conclusion, and part of the group has left. So from now on, I won't be confining my comments to that specific incident because of the double dealing of the chair. I wanted to make a public comment generally, and I wanted the police to hear it, okay? But I won't be waiting till the end of the meeting next time. One of the comments I made about torture, we are talking about torture with tasers. I mean, they try to disguise it as disabling. I mean, it's pain. Did you hear the person yelling, ow, ow? I mean, he wasn't doing that for no reason. You're allowing the police to torture. Another thing I thought was missing in this case was, what did this guy do, this person that was being arrested, do that warranted getting him arrested? What did he do that was so serious? I mean, if he even didn't get arrested at all, what's the big deal? Most of what he's being charged with is resisting arrest. All right, so complying with your handcuffing rules as a reasonable person, we're depending on you to kind of make some, all right? One last comment I have to make. We're faced with global warming here right now, okay? I see this bottled water, all plastic and petroleum products. Do your best to stop global warming and get rid of that plastic.
Get out
Thank
of
you.
this building.
First of all, I do want to address the behavior of the officers because I do feel that it's inappropriate that they left 5 minutes, 10 minutes when they're public comments. So I do feel that that's inappropriate and borderline unprofessional, and they were on their phones a lot of the time. I don't know if you could see that up there, but many of the people in there were texting on their phones or doing something on their phones, and I don't really appreciate that for a citizen review board, first point. Second point is the accidental deployment of the taser is a big deal. They are issued equipment. They are responsible for using that equipment appropriately, and so it is. I don't necessarily agree with your decision. I don't think that he should have been exonerated because whether the equipment is faulty, the officer was responsible for that. So, thank you.
Yeah, I completely agree with what she just said. I don't think that exonerating an officer because it was an accident, somebody needs to be held accountable. I mean, I don't think that's going to stop police from saying all the time, oh, it was an accident. Police kill, murder children and say it was an accident. Sierra Myers, 12 years old. It was an accident to kill her. They intentionally shot in the house, but they didn't mean to kill her, and they killed her, and he was exonerated. He was exonerated. Police murder children because we don't hold police accountable for even the smallest of things. They don't have to follow procedures. Even the smallest procedures, they get exonerated. We cannot do that. And then they just leave. It's so disrespectful. They don't bring food anymore because they're mad at the public, which I actually agree with. I don't think that they should be feeding the public to try to make the public feel well. We should see police, we should not even recognize police. We should be neutral. They should not be trying to get people to like them or trying to antagonize people, either one. They have a very difficult time staying neutral. They stay on one side, and that's antagonizing and hostile to the public. And that is just so disrespectful to this man that got tased. They just ran out of here. And their faces were quite smug. It's disrespectful. It's disrespectful to the man that got tased. It's disrespectful for us that are sitting here that want to say something to the police. Thank you.
It was really disrespectful. The looks on their faces were atrocious, and they need to be held accountable for that.
So Dan Hamlin again, Fort Cop Watch. There were no work group reports listed on the agenda. When I interjected my point of order and read from your ordinance, the city attorney and IPR weren't doing it. I was assured at the meeting that we had last Tuesday that if I interjected a point of order, that would be within the scope. And several people who weren't at that meeting shouted me down, and I do not appreciate that. I still believe the appellant can bring whatever information he wants. If you read your ordinance, that's what it says. He can bring whatever paperwork he wants. You just have to decide whether you want to include it in that decision. And though you sent this case back once already, you could have asked for an exemption to send it back again to include new information. You should have taken the symbolic vote tonight to make your point about your standard of review. You shouldn't re-traumatize appellants by asking them why they did what they did in a manner that sounds accusatory.